Rock it, rock it, rock it, rock it, rock it, rock it.
Tim Moore, December 9, 1887, December 13, 1958, was an American vaudevillian and comic actor of the first half of the 20th century. Moore was born Harry Roscoe Moore in Rock Island, Illinois, one of 13 children. Tim Moore dropped out of grammar school to work at odd jobs in town, and even danced for pennies in the streets with his friend, Romeo Washburn. The young man also worked in a carnival sideshow and gave guided tours as a native tour guide in Hawaii. Moore later left, first to become a stable boy, and later a jockey. He also tried his hand as a boxer. He returned to perform in about 1906 with a troupe of minstrels called the Rabbit's Foot Company. By 1908, he was back in vaudeville. Having made $141,000 and with his fists, in 1921 Moore returned to performing full-time in vaudeville. He formed his Chicago Follies troupe and was a favorite on the Theater Owners Bookers Association vaudeville circuit during the Roaring Twenties period. In June 1925, Tim Moore made his Broadway debut as the star of Lucky Sambo. He also did some writing for the radio show of the Two Black Crows comedy team. Moore was brought to New York to sign a writing contract, but before this was done, Charles Mack of the team was killed in an auto accident, thus ending the act. Moore wrote sketches, which became part of Lou Leslie's Blackbird's revues as well. In 1928, Moore took time off from his vaudeville bookings to try his luck once more on the Great White Way, Broadway. This time he met with enormous success as the star comedian of Lou Leslie's hit musical comedy revue, The Blackbirds of 1928. Moore's co-stars were singers Adelaide Hall and Ada Ward and renowned tap dancer Bill Bojangles Robinson. In this last of the Blackbirds, 1939, the principal singing star was Lena Horne. Moore's last Broadway show was Harlem Cavalcade, 1942, produced by Ed Sullivan and Noble Sissle. During the late 1930s and early 1940s, Moore was one of the top comedians headlining at the Apollo Theater in Harlem. He also performed on radio as a dramatic actor. In 1946, he starred as Bumsy in the musical comedy film Boy, What a Girl! He made some appearances on Ed Sullivan's television show, Toast of the Town, and at the Apollo Theater. Moore then retired from show business. In 1950, Moore was recommended by his old vaudeville friend, Flower Noah Miller, for the role of George Kingfish Stevens, a role which was voiced on radio by white actor Freeman Gostin. He was called out of retirement by the Columbia Broadcasting System to star in a new television adaptation of Amos and Andy. Many of the episodes revolved around Moore's Kingfish character, supported by Ernestine Wade as his level-headed, emotionally strong wife Sapphire, and Amanda Randolph as his openly aggressive mother-in-law, without the participation of Amos or Andy. These Kingfish-only episodes were originally produced as a spin-off series, The Adventures of Kingfish, which made its debut on CBS on January 4, 1955, but lasted only a few episodes. In 1956, Moore and his fellow castmates Spencer Williams, Alvin Childress, and Lillian Randolph with her choir tried a tour of personal appearances as the TV stars of Amos and Andy. The tour was halted by CBS, who viewed this as infringing on their exclusivity. Moore married his last wife Vivian Cravens, 1912 to 1988, 8 months after his third wife's death. They had been performing as a comedy team for some time before marrying in 1957. This marriage won him considerable publicity thanks to the roast beef scandal of January 1958. Moore fired a gunshot in his home because of his mooching in-laws, stepson, stepdaughter, and her husband when he found that the last of the New Year's roast beef had been eaten by them. Moore related, "These freeloaders have eaten everything in the house. My wife protects them, and every time we talk about it, we get into an argument. The argument got a little loud, and the next thing I knew, the big boy, his stepson Hubbard, jumped out of his chair. I ran upstairs and got out my old pistol. I didn't want to hit anybody. When the police arrived at the home, Moore, pistol still in his belt, told them, 'I'm the old Kingfish, boys. I'm the one you want. I fired that shot. I didn't want to hit anyone, although I could have. Moore entered a not guilty plea before the case went to trial on March 24. He received a $100 and fine and a year's probation as his sentence. When the story broke, local television personality and columnist Paul Coates invited Tim Moore to appear on his KTTV television show. Moore explained the situation in 2 guest appearances. Because of the roast beef scandal, Moore was once more in demand and even received a testimonial tribute dinner from the Friars Club of Beverly Hills and appearing on The Tonight Show with Jat Parr. The publicity also won him an extended performance engagement at the legendary Macambo nightclub. Moore died at age 71 on December 13, 1958 of pulmonary tuberculosis in Los Angeles, 4 days after his birthday. There was no money to pay for his hospital care or for his funeral, Moore having received his final $65 and residual payment from Amos and Andy in January 1958. At one time, Moore had made $700 per week. After a large funeral at Sinai Baptist Church, he was buried at Rosedale Cemetery.